Chapter 8 I soon learned to know this flower better. On the Little Prince planet, the flowers had always been very simple. They had only one ring of petals. They took up no room at all. They were a trouble to nobody. One morning, they would appear in the grass, and by night, they would have faded peacefully away. But one day, from a seed blown from no one knew where, a new flower had come up, and the Little Prince had watched very closely over the small sprout, which was not like any other small sprouts on his planet. It might, you see, have been a new kind of baobab. The shrub soon stopped growing and began to get ready to produce a flower. The Little Prince, who was present at the first appearance of a huge bud, felt at once that some sort of miraculous apparition emerged from it. But the flower was not satisfied to complete the preparations for her beauty. In the shelter of her green chamber, she chose her colors with the greatest care. She adjusted her petals one by one. She did not wish to go out into the world all rumpled, like the field poppies. It was only the full radiance of her beauty that she wished to appear. Oh yes, she was a coquettish creature, and her mysterious adornment lasted for days and days. Then one morning, exactly at sunrise, she suddenly showed herself. And after working with all this painstaking precision, she yawned and said,
I'm scarcely awake. I beg that you will excuse me. My petals are still all disarranged.
But the Little Prince could not restrain his admiration.
Oh, how beautiful you are!
Am I not? The flower responded sweetly. And I was born at the same moment as the sun. The Little Prince could get easily enough that she was not any too modest, but how moving and exciting she was.
I think this is time for breakfast. If you would have the kindness to think of my need.
The Little Prince, completely abashed, went to look for a sprinkling can of fresh water. So he tended the flower so too. She began very quickly to torment him with her vanity, which was, if the truth be known, a little difficult to deal with. One day, for instance, when she was speaking of her four thorns, she said to the Little Prince,
Let the tigers come with their claws.
There are no tigers on my planet.
The Little Prince objected.
And anyway, tigers do not eat weeds.
I am not a weed, the flower replied sweetly.
Please excuse me.
I'm not at all afraid of tigers. But I have a horror of draught. I suppose you wouldn't have a screen for me.
A horror of drought. That is a bad luck for a plant,
remarked the Little Prince and added to himself,
This flower is very complex creature. At night, I want you to pull me under a glass globe. It is very cold where you live, in the place I came from.
But she interrupted herself at that point. She had come in the form of the seed. She could not have known anything of any other words. Embarrassed over having let herself be caught on the verge such of a native untruth, she coughed 2 or 3 times in order to put the Little Prince in the wrong.
The screen? I was going to look for it when you spoke to me.
Then she forced her cough a little more so that he could suffer from remorse just the same. So the Little Prince, in spite of all the goodwill that was inseparable from his love, had soon come to doubt her. He had taken seriously words which were without importance, and it made him very unhappy.
I ought not to have listened to her. One never ought to listen to the flowers. One should simply look at them and breathe the fragrance, my perfumes on my planet. But I did not know how to take pleasure in all her grace. Details of clothes which disturbed me so much should only have filled my heart with tenderness and pity.
And he continued his confidences.
The fact is that I did not know how to understand anything. I ought to have judged by deeds and not by words. She cast her fragrance and her radiance over me. I ought never to have run away from her. I ought to have guessed all the affection that lay behind her poor little straight gown. Flowers are so inconsistent, but I was too young to know how to love her.
Chapter 9. I believe that for his escape he took advantage for the migration of a flock of vipers. On the morning of his departure, he put his planet in perfect order. He carefully cleaned out his active volcanoes. He possessed 2 active volcanoes, and they were very convenient for heating his breakfast in the morning. He also had 1 volcano that was extinct, but as he said,
one never knows.
So he cleaned out the extinct volcano too. If they were cleaned out, volcanoes burn slowly and steadily without any eruptions. Volcanic eruptions are like fire in a chimney. On our Earth, we are absolutely much too small to clean out our volcanoes. That is why they bring no end to trouble upon us. The little prince also pulled up, with a certain sense of dejection, the last little shoots of the baobabs. He believed that he would never want to return. But on this last morning, all these familiar tastes seemed very precious to him. And when he watered the flower for the last time, and he prepared to place her under the shelter of the glass globe, he realized that he was very close to tears.
Goodbye,
he said to the flower. But she made no answer.
Goodbye,
he said again. The flower coughed, but it was not because she had a cold.
I have been silly.
She said to him at last.
I ask your forgiveness. Try to be happy.
He was surprised by this absence of reproaches. He stood there all bewildered, the glass globe held arrested in midair. He did not understand this quiet sweetness.
Of course, I love you.
The flower said to him,
It is my fault that you have not known it all the while. That is of no importance. But you have been just foolish as I. Try to be happy. Let the glass globe be. I don't want it anymore.
but the wind,
My cold is not so bad at all that. The cold night air will do me good. I'm a flower.
but the animals.
Well, I must endure the presence of 2 or 3 caterpillars if I wish to become acquainted with the butterflies. It seems that they're very beautiful, and if not the butterflies and the caterpillar, who will call upon me? You will far away as for large animal. I'm not at all afraid of any of them. I have my own clothes.
and naively she showed her 4 thorns. Then she added,
Don't linger like this. You have decided to go away. Now go.
for she did not want him to see her crying. She was such a proud flower. Chapter 21.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm right here, under the apple tree.
Who are you? You are very pretty to look at.
I am a fox.
Come and play with me. I am so unhappy.
I cannot play with you. I am not tamed.
Please excuse me. What does that mean, tame?
You do not live here. What is it that you're looking for?
I am looking for men. What does that mean, tame?
Men. They have guns and they hunt. It is very disturbing. They also raise chickens. These are their interests. Are you looking for chickens?
No, I am looking for friends. What does that mean, tame?
It is an act of neglected. It means to establish ties.
To establish tie.
Just that. To me, you're still nothing more than a little boy who just like 100,000 other little boys. And I have no need of you. And you, on your part, have no need of me. To you, I am nothing more than a fox, like 100,000 other foxes. But if you tame me, then we should need each other. To me, you will be unique in all the world. And to you, I should be unique in all the world.
I am beginning to understand. There is a flower. I think that she had tamed me.
It is possible. On the earth, one sees all sorts of things.
Oh, but it is not on the earth.
said the little prince. The fox seemed perplexed and very curious.
On another planet,
Yes.
are there hunters on that planet?
No.
That's interesting. Are there chickens?
No.
Nothing is perfect.
Sighed the fox. But he came back to his idea.
My life is very monotonous.
The fox said,
I hunt chickens. Men hunt me. All the chickens are just alike and all the men are just alike. And in consequence, I am a little bored. But if you tame me, it would be as if the sun came to shine in my life. I should know the sound of a step that would be different from all the others. All the steps send me hurrying back underneath the ground. Yours would call me like music out of my burrow. And then look, you see the green fields down yonder? I do not eat bread. Wheat is of no use to me. The wheat fields have nothing to say to me. And that is sad. But you have hair that is the color of gold. Think of how wonderful that will be when you have tamed me. The grain, which is also golden, will bring me back the thought of you. And I should love to listen to the wind in the wheat.
The fox gazed at the little prince for a long time.
Please, tame me.
I want to, very much.
The little prince replied,
But I have not much time. I have friends to discover and a great many things to understand.
One only understands the things that one tames. Men have no time to understand anything. They buy things already made at the shops. But there is no shop anywhere where one can buy friendship. And so men have no friends anymore. If you want a friend, tame me.
What must I do to tame you?
You must be very patient. First you will sit down at a little distance from me, like that, in the grass. I should look at you out of a corner of my eye, and you will say nothing. Words are the source of misunderstandings, but you will sit a little closer to me every day.
The next day, the little prince came back.
It would have been better to come back at the same hour. If, for example, you come at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, then at 3 o'clock, I should begin to be happy. I should feel happier and happier as the hour advances. At 4 o'clock, I should already be roaring and jumping about. I should show you how happy I am. But if you come at just any time, I should never know at what hour my heart is to be ready to greet you. one must observe the proper rites.
Was it so right?
Those also are actions too often neglected. They would make one day different from other days, 1 hour from other hours. That is a rite, for example, among my hunters. Every Thursday they dance with the village girls. So Thursday is a wonderful day for me. I can take a walk as far as the vineyards. But if the hunters dance at just any time, every day would be like every other day, and I should never have any vacation at all.
So the little prince tamed the fox, and when the hour of his departure drew near,
I should cry.
It is your own fault. I never wish you any sort of harm, but you wanted me to tame you.
Yes, that is so.
But now you are going to climb.
Yes, that is so.
Then it had done you no good at all.
It has done me good because of the color of the wheat fields. Go and look again at the roses. You understand now that yours is unique in all the world. Then come back to say goodbye to me, and I would make you a present of a secret.
the little prince went away to look again at the roses.
As yet you are nothing. No one has tamed you, and you have tamed no one. You are like my fox. When I first knew him, he was only a fox like 100,000 other foxes. But I have made him my friend, and now he is a unique in all the world.
And the roses were very much embarrassed.
You are beautiful, but you are empty. One could not die for you. To be sure, an ordinary passerby would think that my rose looked just like you, the rose that belonged to me. But in herself alone, she is more important than all the hundreds of you utterers, because it is she that I have watered, because it is she that I have put under the glass globe, because it is she that I have sheltered behind the screen, because it is for her that I have killed the caterpillars, except the 2 or 3 that we saved to become butterflies, because it is she that I have listened to when she grumbled or boasted or ever was sometime when she said nothing, because she is my rose.
And he went back to meet the fox.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. And now, here's my secret. A very simple secret. It is only with the heart that one can see rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eye.
What is essential is invisible to the eye.
The little prince repeated so that he would be sure to remember.
It is the time that you have wasted for your rose that makes your rose so important.
It is the time I have waited for my rose,
Said the little prince so that he would be sure to remember.
Many have forgotten this truth, but you must not forget it. You become responsible forever for what you have tamed. You are responsible for your rose.
I am responsible for my rose.
The little prince repeated so that he would be sure to remember. Chapter 27. And now 6 years have already gone by. I have never yet told him this story. The companions who met me on my return were well content to see me alive. I was sad, but I told them, I am tired. Now my sorrow is comforted a little. That is to say, not entirely, but I know that he did go back to his planet, because I did not find his body at daybreak. It was not just a heavy body. And at night, I love to listen to stars. It is like 500 million little bells. But there is one extraordinary thing. When I drew a muzzle for a little prince, I forgot to add a leather strap to it. He'll never have been able to fasten it on his cheek. So now I keep wondering, what is happening on his planet? Perhaps the sheep has eaten the flower. At one time, I said to myself, surely not. The little prince shuts his flower under her glass globe every night, and he watches over his sheep very carefully. Then I am happy, and there is sweetness in the laughter of all the stars. But at another time, I said to myself, at some moment or other one is absent-minded, and that's enough. On one evening, he forgot the glass globe, or the sheep got out without making any noise in the night, and then the little bells are changed to tears. Look up at the sky, ask yourself, it is yes or no. Has the sheep eaten the flower? And you will see how everything changes. And no grown-up will ever understand that this is a matter of so much importance. This is, to me, the loveliest and saddest landscape in the world. It is the same as that on the producing page, but I have drawn it again to impress it on your memory. It is here that the little prince appeared on earth and disappeared. Look at it carefully, so that you will be sure to recognize it in case you travel someday in African desert. And if you should come upon a spot, please do not hurry on. Wait for a time exactly under the star. Then if a little man appears, who laughs, who has golden hair, and who refuses to answer the question, you will know who he is. If this should happen, please comfort me. Send me word that he has come back.